Rebecca. Thanks for coming back to Sister Wives Underground. We're diving into some serious tension between Robin and Mary today, so if you're thinking you've heard it all before, think twice. This episode lifts the veil on what's really been happening behind closed doors. Let's begin with Robin's most recent tearful plea to Mary, reminding her not to go. On the surface, it looks genuine, but scratch a little deeper and it begins to unravel. Mary shared that she loved Robin's children deeply, and over the course of years, she tried repeatedly to remain in their lives. But whenever she felt led to contact them, Robin would lack response or provide excuses. So Robin's sobbing on TV about losing Mary. She's been keeping her quietly away from the very children Mary raised. That's not hypocrisy, it's emotional manipulation. And where's the accountability? Nowhere. Robin never mentions it. She merely wipes away the tears and hopes no one asks too many questions. Remember when Mary said that Robin only responds to her when the cameras are rolling, or when Mary reaches out first? That bombshell was hidden in one of those extra scenes the show never promotes. Instead, the main episodes get padded with recycled footage and commentary we've heard a dozen times. Why? Because the real story doesn't fit the carefully curated narrative. That's where it gets even more disturbing. Robin didn't even want the children to learn that Mary was leaving. These children aren't toddlers, they're old enough to be included in that discussion, and they deserve to be told by Mary herself. But Robin was taken aback when Cody demanded to be informed immediately. It was obvious. She didn't want to relinquish control of the message, or her control over the children. At the peak of COVID, Robin wouldn't allow Mary to visit, even though Mary had already been in quarantine. Meanwhile, Robin's nanny came and went at her will, and guess what? The nanny infected them with COVID. The irony hurts. Robin has always spoken of having sister wives who uplift one another. Yet her behaviour says otherwise. She's excluded Christine, she's driven off Janelle, and now Mary, all while proclaiming she's the one that's being excluded. Mary was more than a family friend. She was a second mother to Robin's children. But that did not prevent Robin from leaving her out of holidays and other big family gatherings. And when confronted on it, she said she wasn't the one responsible for sending out invitations. Come on, we all know better. Let's go back to the turning point. Robin persuaded Mary to divorce Cody so that she could marry him legally and adopt her children. On the surface, it was a sacrificial thing to do, but actually it was a calculated move. Robin secured herself and tactfully pushed everyone else away. She even talked Cody out of breaking up with Mary, purposely keeping Mary in suspense so that the breakup would be blamed on her. That is a deep manipulation. Robin goes on and on about needing a big, happy family, porches, grandkids, Sunday supper. But if you examine her decisions, it's pretty obvious she never really cared about the sisterhood. She wanted the perks, the title, the attention, the lifestyle. But the togetherness, never part of the equation. And just when the light is finally focused on Mary's suffering, Mykelti arrives. Right in the middle of talking about her mum, Mykelti deflects attention to herself, mentioning how fast she and Tony engaged, like to vindicate Christine's decisions. But Isabel would not have it. With a level head, she simply replied, "I'm not referring to you, I'm referring to Mom." At last, someone had said what we were all thinking. That was an honest, unflinching and long-actioned moment. Watching all of this go down is draining on one's emotions. The lies, the editing, the rewriting of history, it wears one out. And if the producers don't begin to dig deeper and fire the tough questions, viewers will continue to see through the cracks. So what happens next for this broken family? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the truth does have a way of escaping. Clap, clap. If only someone would do the same to Tony. Let's be real. Tony never stops talking. It's like it's his life's work to leap into every conversation with some half-baked joke. You can't get 2 seconds of authenticity before Tony comes crashing in with a joke that falls flat. it's tiresome. So why are Tony and my Keltie still on the show at all? Easy, they're the last connection to the first family from the next one, and they know it. Their thirst for screen time is dehydration near. My Keltie's desperate to be relevant, and her brothers are just as desperate to appear polished on camera. Free airtime? They're in. Ring a bell? Like that one in-law who just can't resist monopolizing every family gathering. I know someone like that, just always hovering, inserting herself into conversation, telling jokes that suck the air out of the room. And nobody calls them on it because it's not worth the blowback. Every now and then, someone will attempt to guide the discussion back with a courteous, "All right, moving on." But attempting to silence Tony is like attempting to hold back a tornado with a sticky note. Then there was the moment that went too far. Out of the blue, Tony mentioned David's deceased wife, completely out of line. The man lost his wife and is fathering 8 children, and Tony dares to crack a joke about how he didn't get into gambling or drugs. What was this? A dig? A bizarre flex? Or an oblique nod to Cody's own history with gambling? Potentially one of the reasons they subtly departed Vegas. It was a weird and awkward moment. Tony spouted off things no one else was discussing, sharing what seemed like forbidden family secrets. Someone at last intervened and said, "Maybe don't bring that up right now." Thank God. For once, someone had the guts to shut him up. Tony's constant jabs at Christine are plain mean-spirited. Seeing her expression change, smile disappearing, posture becoming rigid, whenever Tony speaks is all that needs to be said. Clearly, she isn't pleased. The manner in which he addresses her is like a personal vendetta wrapped in humour. And it's not just awkward, it's heartless. Does my Keltie allow him to behave that way in front of her own parents? Or does he only reserve the attitude for Christine? Either situation stinks of disrespect. There is nothing playful or charming to it. It's not something to be laughed about, and it's not family repartee. Christine never chuckles along. She appears to be holding on for dear life, just waiting for the ordeal to pass. Who reminded Tony that it was all right to play the catty lead in a reality show spoof? He acted like a lonely lawyer's wife with no sense of boundaries. Losing loved ones does not mean someone's going to descend into addiction. Sure, grief can contribute to depression, but Tony's snide remark regarding gambling was like an inside joke that only he got. It was so strangely particular that it bordered on a personal insult hidden in false sympathy. If I were there, I would have zinged him with a response. "So, Tony, did you make jokes when Robin's brother died too?" Someone really needs to sit him down and tell him that his passive-aggressive jabs aren't only unfriendly, they're virtually bullying. Christine went from feeling supported to visibly stressed the moment Tony entered the room. And honestly, it seems like the family only puts up with him because he's my Keltie's husband. Otherwise, no one would give him the time of day. Tony's whole attitude, his condescending remarks, his passive jabs, his showy jokes, makes me think of the sort of family member who hits below the belt just to feel better. And let's be real, if another man were doing the same thing, no one would put up with it. But Tony seems to get a free pass. Each time he opens his mouth, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I literally squirm, and I'm not the only one. But amidst all of this, one ray of hope. Aspen, as always the voice of reason, intervened to offer support to Isabel. She let her know that being overwhelmed about their mom's rapid romance wasn't bad or too much. She acknowledged her sister's feelings without condemning her. That's what it means to offer support. One moment of true empathy amidst all the craziness. Who isn't always the most tactful, was able to impress with how sensitive and mature he was. But naturally, there's always Tony. Tony still confuses sarcasm with charm and rudeness with humour. His compulsive need to insert himself in every other conversation feels like attention-seeking at best and utterly inappropriate at worst. Aspen, meanwhile, Christine's second oldest, moves stealthily in and takes control like the big sister who more or less raised the little ones. When my Keltie once again attempted to ruin a serious moment with a social media meme, Isabel's quick "this is not about you" was gold. Instant classic. She shut it down with class and clarity. Honestly, my Keltie's behaviour screams daddy's girl, with a healthy side of narcissism. The obsession with being the centre of attention? It's so Christine, it's almost poetic. Flashback to Christine's wedding reception. Remember my Keltie yelling over Aspen's heartfelt speech, only to get shut down by Isabel with a single line. "This is why Mom picked me." Mic, drop, moment. It wasn't merely sass, it was leadership. If this family ever experiences another drastic shake-up, Isabel's already demonstrated that she knows how to hold it down. Christine and Janelle both grew their children up, mostly by themselves, Cody in particular being absent or emotionally absent. In turn, the older kids matured prematurely. They were the true nurturers, the ones who cooked, babysat, and kept things going. Whether it was a stay-out-of-it parenting decision or plain necessity, the outcome is obvious. These children are strongly independent. For real, Aspen and Logan are due just as much credit as their mothers for raising the little siblings. And in spite of all the melodrama between the wives, no one can argue that the children grew up strong, competent, and down to earth. Now, back to Christine's love life these days. Many of her older children married the first serious person they ever dated, and that's built some kind of implied pressure. They may feel like they can't even express their concerns when Christine rushes into a relationship because they did the same thing. That's why Isabel's candor is such a breath of fresh air. She spoke up when she needed to, respectfully but firmly. And then there's Tony. Still the pink elephant in the room, obnoxiously loud and inescapable. He acts up the buffoon for the cameras, but Aspen again broke through the noise with consistent support and earthy wisdom. And hey, as a 53-year-old myself, I understand. Christine isn't messing around. Dating in your 50s isn't the same as dating in your 20s. You have an idea of what you want. You've witnessed what doesn't work. Christine isn't compromising, and that's something to appreciate. The only potential issue, truly, is still living with her parents. But even she doesn't seem fussed with all of that, so really there isn't even a red flag there. All in all, the greatest highlight. Isabel speaking aloud what the rest of us were thinking, polite, truthful, and completely unwilling to shut up. That's the kind of backbone my Keltie so desperately needs to grow. And who could forget Mitch's signature line, "Truly needs less voices," the epitome of politeness to say, "Please just shut up." Chef's kiss. But the episode's secrets didn't stop there. Let's discuss the actual issue here. Robin. She says she's the victim, but there is another side of the story that nobody wants to face. The reality? Robin has kept her children apart since day one. While she and Cody took their 11-day honeymoon, she never left the children with the family. She dropped the children at her mum's place. The other wives had to literally inquire about spending a few days with them. And later on, even when they were all residing in Vegas, Robin employed a nanny, despite the other mums making it very clear how sensitive that made them. She did not want to spend time around the other families, and the estrangement was apparent. She whines today that her children have always felt left out. But that distance, it began with her. She dictated their visits, their interactions, and their vacations. She prattles on about her ideal of sitting on the porch with the sister wives, rocking babies and laughing, always a fantasy. The porch exists. It's on the behemoth McMansion she pushed for. But in all these years, has anyone ever observed her employing it with the family? Nope, because in real life, Robin never envisioned one large blended family. She envisioned the title, the legal marriage, the camera time, and the control. Her actions, not words, are louder than any tears. And what's worse, she manipulates her kids to get what she desires. Whether it was fighting for legal marriage, manipulating feel-in, her kids separate from the rest of the family, demanding more time, more space, and more attention. She's isolated them, even on camera, and made accusations that couldn't have been easy for her children to hear. And then there are the moments viewers can't unsee, like when she coldly dismissed little Truly, who was just a toddler at the time. It was a quick interaction, but it revealed volumes about how Robin views the other wife's children. To her, they're not family, they're outsiders. But it doesn't stop there. Robin's demeanour has, on occasion, edged into something far more sinister. Kicking a dog gratuitously, overreacting when a child spilled an entire bowl of cereal, and even to the point of putting up a no-food notice on the refrigerator. And this while the other wives were scrounging just to get by, some of them actually using food stamps. While Robin arrived in the family in arrears, but somehow expected that everyone was to greet her children with open arms and open checkbooks. She watched food intake compulsively, which presented not as overbearing parenting, but controlling and, quite frankly, cruel. And then there's the ongoing coldness to Truly, brushing her aside, not bothering to engage, and not even bothering to pretend to connect, while upholding a public image of being the mum who loves all the kids the same. The hypocrisy could not be greater. And when the older kids, who had no duty but still opted for compassion, attempted to form relationships with her children, she shut it down. Robin needed assistance with childcare, but not mutual affection. She did not desire blended families. She desired boundaries. She's blamed the older children of being cruel, when in fact they were among the friendliest. Robin's adamant that her children are always victims has pitted siblings and wives against one another. What should have been a combined front was instead factions, pitted apart not by affection, but by Robin's demands for special treatment. And when COVID came along, she had the perfect reason to double down on the isolation. All the progress that had been made between siblings was lost. Poof. So what's really going on? Robin's behaviour seems to be based in insecurity, maybe a desire to control her children's image and positioning within the family. Rather than building bridges, she enforced walls. And rather than creating unity, she introduced division. Let's discuss Cody. His recent anger. It's not a heartbreak, it's control. When Christine announced she was leaving, Cody didn't act like a man grieving a broken marriage. He acted like a man losing authority. He admitted himself. I've just been sucking it up for 14 years, and now that she's leaving, I feel like giving her a piece of my mind. Not sorrow, not melancholy, rage. But the actual surprise is, why is Cody so much tougher on Christine than on Janelle? Janelle has been more vocal. She's challenged the family dynamics head-on, openly condemned his actions, and expressed frustration. But Cody reserves his worst for Christine. Why? Because Christine is the one who actually broke free. Janelle challenges the system, but Christine departed it. That's what Cody can't stand. His control, his reputation, his hold on the family, all decaying. He does not enrage because he was wronged. He enrages because he lost control. And the double standard is revealed by the episode. Cody is only furious with Janelle when she takes sides with Christine. Otherwise, he accepts her independence. Christine's disobedience, that's unthinkable. Because she's the one who left and accepted it. So when everyone writes Robin off as the victim, or Cody's just a lovesick husband, look again. The real victims in this case, the children in the middle, the wives who sacrificed everything, the family who attempted to stay intact in one house while favoritism and control insidiously destroyed them. Christine, Janelle, and their children have demonstrated strength, compassion, and resilience. And perhaps that's what really intimidates the individuals who want to maintain control. For when love is no longer sufficient to hold a family together, truth is the only option left. Janelle very differently than he treats Christine. Why? Well, Janelle has mentioned before that they've taken time apart, so Cody might still believe she'll come back. There's a sliver of hope that keeps him holding back. And let's be honest, there's also the cash. Janelle has been bringing in money for the family for a long time, That in itself might be why Cody leaves the door open with her. Her economic independence, her stoic perseverance. Those are things that Cody appreciates, not emotionally, but practically. And then there's Robin. Her resentment of Christine is deep. Christine was the family's heart, charismatic, caregiving, and loved by the children. That intimacy, Robin never experienced it, and she resented it. It's easy to picture Robin fanning the flames of Cody's anger. Gradually, her influence might have shaped Cody's fiery outbursts, particularly towards Christine. She assisted in turning frustration into rage. We've all seen Cody's explosive behavior on camera, yelling, storming out of Janelle's house, lashing out at Christine. And if this is what he shows publicly, it's chilling to think how he might act in private. His contempt isn't subtle. Remember when he said he was never attracted to Christine, or that he regretted marrying her? These weren't mistakes. These were intentional, vicious jabs meant to punish Christine for having the nerve to walk away. Christine didn't walk away. She walked away on her own terms. She sold her home. She cashed out her equity. She got therapy. She drew a line in the sand between herself and Cody's behavior. She set boundaries. And better still, she held firm. And that undermined everything Cody represented. His ego, his control, his vision of what a loyal wife looks like. Christine didn't merely reject Cody. She took the children emotionally with her. Their being supportive of her only served to heighten his resentment. Now let's examine Janelle. Her exit was less dramatic, more subdued. She's independent, not dramatic, and still keeps up some form of communication with Cody, temporarily. To Cody, she's not merely a wife, she's a ballast. She earns money, she doesn't argue, and maybe most crucially, she hasn't entirely shut him down. Yet. That's why his wrath against her is subdued. But don't doubt it, if she entirely leaves him, that wrath can come back in a hurry. Finally, Cody's fury is not so much about missing love, it's about losing control. Christine's departure was the first domino. It fell, and it created a domino effect that challenged the family dynamics Cody constructed, one that revolved around him. Robin's jealousy, Christine's defiance, and the children's devotion to their mother produced a tempest Cody couldn't contain, and instead of owning up, he struck out. Christine's departure wasn't an amicable breakup, it was an accounting. So what's your take? Is Cody grieving a marriage or the power he used to have? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation we must continue. And if you like this dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you can stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care and lots of love to you all. Love.